Dr. Stephanie Patterson, the Associate Professor of Bassoon at the North Carolina School of the Arts, and here are my tips for preparing the NCMEA All-State Etudes. Make sure you practice starting both sections of this etude at the tempo printed. Since there are two different tempos in this, you need to be ready to go from one to the next without checking in with your metronome. So be able to recall 72 and then 108 when it's appropriate. You might think of singing the melody in your head before you start so you can catch the tempo that way. There are a lot of downward slurs in this first cantabulary melody. Make sure that you can go both ways, so not just down, but also back up. You might find that it's easier to set your embouchure and your air support for the lower note, and then just increase your airspeed for the upper note instead of trying to move your jaw between each note. Especially in the lower register, you want to make sure your low D is in tune. So find that position and then adjust accordingly to make the G in tune as well. You may be tempted to take a breath at the end of measure 2. If you do, don't forget to crescendo through the note to connect the phrase into the next measure. So that the breath doesn't break that beautiful crescendo into the high E flat. In the Allegro, you have a lot of staccato notes. I would work on getting those notes clean and not cracking with long notes and making sure that you're venting or flicking, especially for the B flats, before you make them staccato. For example, you might practice, or even before you can make them really short. And that way you will avoid cracking. In measure 21, you switch subdivisions from 16th notes before that to triplets. So make sure that you're subdividing the subdivision that's coming up, not the one you've been doing. For example, you might start in measure 18 with your 16th notes, but once you get to the half note in 20, subdivide triplets like this. And then you're ready to go on the triplets once you get to measure 21. In measure 25, in the next 4 bars, you start on the and of 1. You don't have a downbeat. So you want to make sure that you feel the downbeat nice and strong so it doesn't sound like you're coming in on 1. What you might do is give a little bit of a pulse to beat 2, for example. So that your listener can tell what your meter is and what rhythm you're playing. Then when you put it together, you might ignore that you did the pulse before, but it's still in your memory. It's subtle, but it's not super accented. A lot of phrases in this etude go over rest, so you want to make sure that you keep the line, you keep the energy alive as you phrase, including the rest. So you might think of not breathing until the end of the phrase. For example, starting in 25. I snuck little breaths, but I didn't take a big phrase ending breath until the very end. In measure 23, the triplet figure is a little tricky, and so what I've done to make it a little bit easier and a little more musical is I've given myself a tenuto and a dot on the downbeat of each triplet. And I'm thinking of the next 2 notes as a pickup. It makes it a little easier, and it keeps moving through the bar where I might be tempted to slow down because I have more leaps. Thanks for listening, and good luck.